Once upon a time, in a magnificent kingdom known as Evergreen, there lived a beautiful queen named Isabella and a mighty king named Richard. Their joy knew no bounds when they welcomed their precious baby boy, who was destined to be the future king. The entire kingdom rejoiced and celebrated the birth of their beloved prince, Alexander. Prince Alexander was a lively and curious child. As he grew older, his adventurous spirit led him to explore every corner of the royal palace. His days were filled with laughter and play, surrounded by the love and care of his parents and the devoted palace staff. One fateful day, when the sun was shining brightly and the royal garden was in full bloom, the queen decided to take the prince outside to enjoy the fresh air. She held his tiny hand as they strolled through the fragrant garden, admiring the vibrant flowers and singing birds. Unbeknownst to them, a sudden gust of wind swept through the garden, causing the heavy garden gate to creak open. Startled by the noise, the young prince tugged his hand free from his mother's grasp and toddled towards the gate, his curiosity piqued. Queen Isabella turned her attention away for a moment to pick a beautiful rose, but when she looked back, her heart skipped a beat. The gate stood wide open, and her precious prince was nowhere to be seen. Panic gripped her heart, and she called out for him, her voice trembling with fear. The news of the lost prince spread like wildfire throughout the castle. King Richard, overcome with worry, immediately ordered a search party to be assembled. Every nook and cranny of the kingdom was scoured, from the bustling marketplaces to the quietest corners of the forest. The people joined in the search, hoping to find their young prince and return him safely to the castle. Days turned into nights, and nights turned into days, but there was no sign of the lost prince. The king and queen were consumed by grief and despair. They couldn't bear the thought of their precious son being lost, alone in the vast world. Meanwhile, deep within the enchanted forest that encircled the kingdom, a group of kind and gentle animals discovered the lost prince. A wise and clever rabbit named Ruby was the first to spot him, his bright eyes twinkling with curiosity. Ruby hopped closer, observing the little prince with caution. Prince Alexander, though frightened and uncertain, was drawn to the friendly presence of the rabbit. He reached out his tiny hand, and Ruby, sensing the prince's innocence and vulnerability, hopped even closer. The prince giggled with delight as Ruby nuzzled against his hand. The other animals, seeing Ruby's acceptance of the prince, approached slowly, one by one. Felix, a playful fox with a bushy tail, circled around them, wagging his tail. Daisy, a graceful deer with gentle eyes, approached with cautious grace. Charlie, a mischievous squirrel with a twitching nose, scurried down from the branches above. Together, they formed an unlikely but loving family. The animals protected the prince, guiding him through the vast forest and teaching him the ways of the wild. They taught him to listen to the rustling leaves, to recognize the different animal calls, and to respect the delicate balance of nature. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into years as the prince grew older. He became one with the forest, learning its secrets and harmonizing with its rhythms. The animals nurtured him, offering their friendship, companionship, and unwavering loyalty. Though the prince had found solace and happiness in the forest, a part of him longed to be reunited with his family in the castle. He wondered if his parents still searched for him, if they missed his laughter and felt the emptiness of his absence. And so, as the young prince celebrated his 15th birthday, a mix of gratitude and restlessness filled his heart. He knew that he had to find his way back to his true home, to the arms of his loving parents, and fulfill his destiny as the future king of Evergreenia. Little did he know that his animal friends, who had become his family, would play a crucial role in his journey back to the castle. With their wisdom, loyalty, and the magical bond they shared, they would guide him through the perils of the forest and help him find his way home. On the morning of his 15th birthday, Prince Alexander woke up with a newfound determination. He knew it was time to embark on a journey back to the castle, to reunite with his parents and fulfill his destiny as the future king of Evergreenia. Gathering his loyal animal companions, Ruby the rabbit, Felix the fox, Daisy the deer, and Charlie the squirrel, around him, the prince shared his decision. The animals understood his longing and offered their unwavering support. With Ruby taking the lead, the group set off through the dense forest, their paws and hooves treading lightly on the mossy ground. Prince Alexander felt a mix of excitement and trepidation, as he knew that the journey would be filled with challenges and unknown dangers. Days passed, and the prince and his animal friends faced many obstacles along the way. They encountered deep ravines that seemed impossible to cross, swift rivers that threatened to sweep them away, and thickets of thorns that tested their perseverance. But the animals, with their unique abilities, came to the prince's aid. Ruby used his agility to find safe paths, Felix used his cunning to scout for potential dangers, Daisy guided them with her gentle presence, and Charlie used his nimbleness to navigate through tight spots. As they traveled, the prince learned valuable lessons from his animal friends. He learned to be patient and observe the signs of nature, to listen to the whispers of the wind and the melodies of the birds. He discovered the importance of unity and cooperation, as they relied on each other's strengths to overcome the obstacles in their path. Finally, after weeks of traversing the challenging terrain, the prince and his companions reached the outskirts of the kingdom. Prince Alexander's heart leaped with joy as he caught sight of the familiar landscape and the towering castle in the distance. He knew that his long-awaited homecoming was within reach. The prince and his animal friends cautiously made their way through the kingdom, avoiding attention as they moved closer to the castle. Their bond had grown stronger with each passing day, and they worked as a team, strategizing and finding hidden paths to evade any potential threats. As they approached the castle gates, a mixture of excitement and apprehension coursed through Prince Alexander's veins. Would his parents recognize him after all these years? Would they still love him as they did when he was just a baby? Taking a deep breath, the prince stepped through the castle gates. Guards and servants turned their heads, their eyes widening in astonishment at the sight of a young man accompanied by a rabbit, a fox, a deer, and a squirrel. Whispers spread through the castle like wildfire, reaching the ears of the king and queen. As if drawn by an invisible force, King Richard and Queen Isabella rushed toward the commotion, their hearts pounding with hope and anticipation. And there, standing before them, was their long-lost son, Prince Alexander, who had grown into a brave and wise young man. Tears streamed down the queen's face as she embraced her son, unable to contain her joy. King Richard's eyes shone with pride and relief as he held his son in a tight embrace. The castle erupted in cheers, and the news of the prince's return spread throughout the kingdom. Prince Alexander, now surrounded by his loving parents and the loyal animals who had guided him home, felt a sense of completeness he had longed for since his journey began. The king and queen thanked the animals for their unwavering loyalty and declared them honored members of the royal family. From that day forward, Prince Alexander ruled the kingdom with compassion and wisdom, never forgetting the lessons he had learned in the forest. He cherished his animal friends, who remained by his side as trusted advisors and lifelong companions. Under the prince's rule, the kingdom of Evergreenia flourished. The bond between humans and animals grew stronger, as they learned to coexist and appreciate the harmony of nature. And the story of the lost prince who found his way home became a legend that echoed through the halls of the castle and the hearts of the people for generations to come.